Well, describe. I'm just going to kind of go through it chronologically and get your thing. What do you remember before you played? Do you remember much about any of the football games before you played? Maybe when I guess your brother was Ernest or Sparky Howell played.
Mm-hmm.
You remember much about his playing days?
Oh yeah, he was. I wasn't on out at that time. He was the captain of somewhere around 24, 25, I guess. Then my brother Sidney came along. Sparky was about 6, 8 years older than me, I guess it was. But anyhow, he came along. But yes, I watched him, and Sparky was fleet-footed in it. He's fast and he's lightning. And he played on the same team that Roy Beasley did, and Ed Moby, I believe, played on that team, and I forgot who else. But anyhow, that was out on the dirt field out here. It's just about where is it? Somewhere in the neighborhood of probably where these buildings are right now. Really, dirt field, and it was hard just hard as all hell. And you get a muddy day, and you'd slide all over the place out there. But I remember them playing on muddy fields, and it was fun to watch it. But I mean, you had to put pretty tough guys there that had to get out and slug it out. Yeah, they had that inspired me. He was called Sparky, and then every one of us who came along afterwards was. My brother Sidney was a little Sparky, and then I came home, and I was a little Sparky, and right on down the line. So we didn't get our own name until later on. But he was admired for us younger brothers as a real fun example. We all cherished the fact that we were called Little Sparky because he was that good, we thought, and I think he was. He was an exceptionally good player. And he set some other fine examples for us to live. And my brother Sidney, I think Sidney was probably the best football of the Howell family, 6 of us. He was very fleet-footed and a wonderful blocker, great tackler, and shifty. He was had to shift something like O.J. Simpson. He'd get up and change pace, and take a guy out, and he could go like a streak of lightning. He was good, and had a good head on his shoulders too to think what he was going to do. And brings back the fact that when I talked about Malcolm Aikens earlier, we got into a squabble with Bruton. We were out playing Bruton. We didn't play Bruton many times, but when I played Bruton, they were supposed to beat the hell out of us. Beat us anyhow. And we got up there, and he got to get tough, and mean out there. And so, we were clean. Really, we didn't put anything dirty. And this is what he meant primarily. Get tough and get hard, go at it hard and fast, and stick with it. And so we got with him out there, and my brother Sidney tackled head on their best fullback. He was coming to the line. It might have been half. I don't know the head. They've got Flair. He hit him head on, and knocked the guy out. And the guy was on the team, and someone thought it was not fair, whatever. But we got into one hell of a fight. And here comes Malcolm Aiken out, taking the guys up and tossing them aside. And he didn't slug anybody, but he was separating us and being sure that we didn't get pure hell beat out of us. But ended the contest. I think we quit the game and called it short, I believe. But we beat them. And but his philosophy wasn't so much to be dirty, but it was hard and hit him hard and be mean, but clean. And so I think we picked that up pretty well. Had some good teams. Okay. Our biggest one I went to when I had 4 years. Maybe that was our nemesis. They beat us. They were very tough here, and we would come up with a pretty good team, but they had better material, and somehow they beat us. I think that was here. We had patsies like Robertsdale. We had Farrell. We beat them every year, and a few others around. But we were in a patsy for they had a great.
Do you remember much about the coaches that preceded before you came along? Like, I think the first coach was Harry West.
I know of him only. Thurston Adams is one that came along later, and
I've corresponded with him several times.
he did. Yeah, he's still kicking, is he?
As far as I know, he's living in Camden, Alabama. He lived in Pineapple, Alabama for many years, and he's lived in Camden the last several years.
I always liked him as a damn good-looking man, and the guys liked him. Because I wasn't on the football team under him. Thurston Adams, and then who else was it?
So there was a Daniel St. John back the coach in 1927. I don't know if that name rings a bell. Coach St. John. His son was Harold St. John that played on the 1930 team.
Yeah, I remember that time, St. John. Yeah, they lived. Remember, they were next to the village over there. Right behind it, I believe. St. John did. Yeah. I don't remember much about him. I remember Thurston Adams.
And then Coach Adams coached the 1930 team that went undefeated and scored over 400 points and gave up 7 points.
Yeah, he was a good coach.
You remember seeing any of those ball games from that 1930 team?
I saw everything was here. I never missed a football game. No. Football game, basketball game. Back in those days, we couldn't get. I couldn't afford the ticket, and my next door neighbor, Jesse Porter, at that time worked in the print shop, and they printed up the tickets, and Jesse would they would throw the culls away so they could work printed right, and Jesse would always bring us a couple along. we would get that. But in other cases, we knew how to slip into the auditorium too. We learned how to slip into the auditorium, and I think the officials did, and were kind to us, really, because if they could have, they would have opened the front door, but they did. They wouldn't have the receipts, you know, because they had let everybody in. But I know back in those days that they were quite lean and tight. And the basketball court was locked too. The auditorium was locked, you know. And any weekend we wanted to go to practice, we didn't break in. We had some windows open in the auditorium. Some guys go around, crawl in the back window, you know, and come in, open the front door, and we'd relock it. We're going to practice basketball for 2 or 3 hours, and they knew what they were doing, but they couldn't. Rules were they couldn't allow us to do it. But we sneaked in, and nobody called us. But those are some of the liberties that they let us do.
Yes.